Good morning. My name is Murray Thompson, a longtime member of Canadian Pugwash. We are here this morning to uphold one of the most important international treaties ever signed by Canada, the UN's Non-Proliferation Treaty. We believe the treaty is seriously threatened by the nuclear weapon policies of NATO. And for this reason, we have asked Foreign Minister McKay to put these policies on the agenda of the upcoming NATO Foreign Ministers meeting in Oslo. Now I have the pleasure to introduce the members of this panel. First, I would like to introduce Dr. Rideau, chairperson of the Canadian Pugwash Group. Dr. Buckley is a distinguished physicist and environmentalist, and for the past several years, vice president of the Ontario Centre for Environment Technology Advancement. Second, I have the pleasure of introducing General Len Johnson, retired from a distinguished career in the Canadian Armed Forces. His last service was as the Commandant of the National Defence College in Kingston. He is the past chairman of the Canadian Pugwash Group and of the International Pugwash Council. Third, I'd like to introduce Dr. Elizabeth Barreau, another longtime member of Canadian Pugwash. Dr. Barreau is a political scientist whose particular concerns have been how international agreements, such as the UN's Non-Proliferation Treaty, can be successfully implemented and successfully involvement of the public. Finally, let me introduce Professor Peter Mikey, President Emeritus of the University of Prince Edward Island, who last year was awarded an honorary Doctor of Science by the Royal Military College. Dr. Mikey will act as moderator for the remainder of the time we have. So first, Dr. Buckley.
Ladies and gentlemen, mesdames, messieurs, Pugwash is known for its opposition to nuclear weapons, and today we draw your attention to NATO's nuclear weapons policies. They're outdated, they add to global insecurity, and Canada can change this. Canadians understand that Canada is a non-nuclear weapons state, but Canada belongs to NATO, and that's a partnership with 3 nuclear weapons states. And so we initiate our campaign today to bring this troubling contradiction into view. We are pressing the Canadian government to rise from its complacency and become an agent for change in NATO. And we are pressing our Pugwash colleagues in every NATO country to join this campaign. To begin, we sent a letter to Peter MacKay, Minister of Foreign Affairs, and we're calling on him to insist that the NATO Foreign Ministers meeting April 26th and 27th in Oslo review their nuclear policy. By getting the agenda of that meeting, NATO starts now to move step by step toward nuclear disarmament and rid us of the threat of a nuclear disaster. Canada can lead, and using its respected position in the world, it can persuade other NATO members to follow. The contradiction and the danger that must be exposed and resolved is this. On one hand, Canada and the NATO nations are legally bound by the Non-Proliferation Treaty of '68. Article 6. Each of the parties to the agreement undertakes to pursue negotiations in good faith on the cessation of the nuclear arms race at an early date and nuclear disarmament. On the other hand, Canada is a member of NATO and acquiesces to NATO's nuclear weapons policies. 1, non-nuclear weapon states can be targets of a nuclear bomb. 2, first strike with nuclear weapons, an option whereby NATO commanders could initiate a nuclear war. 3, tactical nuclear weapons in 5 European countries. NATO accepts that nuclear weapon member states are actively improving their nuclear weapons and adding to them. Under the NPT, Canada agreed to pursue negotiations in good faith, and this applies equally to non-nuclear weapon states as to nuclear weapon states. So Canada at times to a contradiction. NATO claims that its policies are essential for peace, and NATO will cite that the US and Russia have reduced their nuclear stockpiles since 1988, pledged to continue, but where is the good faith? The nuclear weapons states are dragging their feet every step of the way. The U.S. has embarked on a multi-billion-dollar program of reliable warhead replacement, and Britain insists it must upgrade its Trident systems in its submarines. So, what is Canadian Pugwash that we are challenging the foreign policy of Canada? Our credentials, we state, are excellent, and I will just tell you about Pugwash briefly. It's a truly international peace movement. 50 years ago, it started in Pugwash, Nova Scotia, as a meeting of scientists from both sides of the Cold War, inspired by the manifesto of Albert Einstein and Bertrand Russell. Joseph Rotblat was there. He was the only scientist to leave the Manhattan Project. He left in '43 as a matter of conscience. The members of the Pugwash conferences on science and world affairs speak as individuals, not as representatives of an institution. And they have had notable success because the organization, together with founder Joseph Rotblat, was awarded the 1995 Nobel Peace Prize. In the beginning and to this day, scientists in Pugwash have taken it as their ethical responsibility to speak out when society is on the wrong path. Thank you.